It's time for the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX. On your radio at AM 940 and online at mywithersradio.com. Recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the premier radio feature programs in the state. You're about to roam the region with more guests and content courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. Live from the Powerhouse, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
And good morning. Glad to have you with us for another Saturday Sports Show. It is Super Bowl Eve, and your home for Super Bowl 47 is WMIX FM. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on here on the Saturday Sports Show. Lots of local basketball talk today as the season winds down. Of course, girls basketball 1A and 2A regionals will get started here in this coming week. After that, it'll be 3A, 4A girls regionals, and then we will be off. We have a pretty loaded guest list for you today in terms of content. Scott Gamber will join us in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk about the Mount Vernon Rams' victory last night at home against the Althoff Crusaders. 56-49 was the final in that one. We'll talk with Jeff Lonnon. His Lady Rams are South 7 Conference champions. Congratulations to Jeff Lonnon and the Lady Rams. They are 19-6 on the year and are wheeling and dealing as they head into their final game with Cahokia on Tuesday night. Ron Winemiller, the Benton Rangers, will join us this morning. They have the Rich Herrin Classic today. How many games? 6 or 7 games down there today. Weber Township, of course, starts things off against Carriers Mills. If you listen to the weather radio, that'll be at 10:30. But we'll talk more about that entire shootout. Ron's team in action today as well. It should be a quality conversation with Rangers head coach Ron Winemiller. Wade Thomas of the Johnston City Indians will join us in the 9 o'clock hour, as will Alan Englehardt of the Pinckneyville Lady Panthers. And believe it or not, we're going to talk with an old friend here on the Saturday Sports Show. Terry Milt, now the superintendent of Dupo High School, is going to stop by. Danny, you're in education. You can attest. School finance is a hot topic right now. There's a school in the Metro East, Cahokia, that is actually talking about maybe having to cut sports, but we've heard this time and time again. Some schools have threatened in the past. That is what has caused some changes in the community as far as funding with that regard as fundraising. And then talking about that, really, seems like it's used as a way to open the eyes of the community just how bad the situation is when we talk sports.
There are going to be 4 meetings in Cahokia. One of them was held this past week, I believe on Monday night or Tuesday night. They had a community meeting. A lot of discussions about cutting extracurricular activities such as music, arts, automotive, FFA kind of things, as well as athletics was thrown on the table. And, you know, the list of cutting different activities, different sports, different extracurricular stuff. And you add all that up with what I read in several articles, also cutting of staff and closing of schools, would save Cahokia around $3 million if they do not get the necessary funding from the state. Now, what you have to play around with, obviously, is, you know, administrators have to be known, have to be told in January, February if they're coming back or not. You have also teachers have to be let known 45 to 60 days, I forget what the big number is, before the end of the school year if they're coming back or not. Then the state funding may or may not be coming until June, July, who knows with the state. So you play all those factors, and again, Cahokia is one of those that if sports get cut and they don't participate, that affects obviously everything in the South 7. One thing that comes to mind is obviously the automatic playoff berth in football in the South 7, which would not happen. Scheduling, because that would be a week off for every team in the South 7, because as of now, by the time they would announce officially, it would be tough to go out and find a game to fill that week at this point. So a lot of things riding on this. Are they seriously going to do this and it's in concrete? No, it's out there. It's an option. And administrators all over the state are looking at this. You've got high schools going together co-oping sports. You have some high schools that are looking to get ahead of the state coming in and shutting them down, especially at the high school and junior high level. So it's a very trying time right now with finances and stuff in the high school. I think a very interesting thing that we heard when we were in Althoff for the girls, for Lady Rams, that Cahokia is already preparing their community and their school district for things that could be coming down the pike.
Of course, all of that talk and more today, sponsored by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
WMIX.com is an option for scores. We have your scoreboard from last night.
I think we have almost 70 scores from last night all around the Southern Illinois and beyond. In the South 7, a game here on the FM side last night, it was Mount Vernon over Althoff 56-49. Carbondale shells Marion 60-38, and Cahokia road win at Centralia 55-53. Midland Trail, Woodlawn beat Sisney 64-51. Waltonville on the road beat Grayville 74-37. Clay City got Weber Township 60-46. And in overtime, Odin beat Wayne City 53-50. Ohio Division, Harrisburg Seniors have won 100 games in their career at the varsity level. Harrisburg beat Massac 63-44. Herrin beat Frankfort 55-48. And Murphy comes from behind to beat Benton 53-46. Nashville with a road win at Carterville 62-44. Pinckneyville with a road win at AJ 64-59. Trend continues. Sparta with a road win at DuQuoin 55-47. Black Diamond, SV beat ZR 54-38. Chester over Alvarado 59-33. Goreville at home over Christopher 70-52. Hamco beat Vienna 65-48. JC beat Carmi 52-51. And Fairfield beat El Dorado 71-61. South Egyptian, Century upsets Egyptian 83-77. Meridian rolls 86-40 over Shawnee. In the Apollo last night, Charleston beat Salem 69-54. Effingham beat Mattoon 50-46, and Mount Zion beat Paris 83-48. If you're wondering about Jerseyville last night, Mississippi Valley, they beat Civic Memorial 62-55, and Waterloo beat Triad 58-46. Jerseyville comes in on a win tonight to Mount Vernon. Those are just some of the scores we have posted. Go to WMIXsports.com. You can find all the rest of them there, as we have almost 70 scores posted at WMIXsports.com.
And even a girls' score, as Cowden Herrick Beecher City played Christ Our Rock Lutheran last night, a rare Friday night girls game in Southern Illinois. We have all of that at WMIXsports.com. Check it out. Follow us on Twitter at WMIXsports. We're on Facebook as well. We have our social media question of the week coming your way.
Oh, it's there.
Oh, it's already there. Find it on Facebook. Find it on Twitter. Post your answer. We'd love to hear from you this morning. Super Bowl Eve, Super Bowl 47 is tomorrow. Your home for Super Bowl 47 is WMIX FM 94.1. 3 o'clock begins Super Sunday coverage. We need to take a break on the Saturday Sports Show. When we come back, we'll have Mount Vernon Rams head basketball coach Scott Gamber. His team got a big win over Althoff last night. They'll play Jersey today. This is the Saturday Sports Show powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what health care should be.
Back after this.
Hi, I'm Bria Ashby with Community First Bank. It's always my goal to make the transition to Community First Bank as easy as possible for our customers. Our handy switch kit helps in doing just that. Whether it's direct deposit, auto transfers, or online banking, I'm here to help. Come see me at our 42nd Street location to open your account today, and let me remind you how banking should be. Community First Bank with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Welcome back to personal banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. Danny Swinsky and Chris Hugo alongside. Buttons being pushed everywhere this morning. Shootouts galore today. One in Nashville, one in Benton. And one in Benton starts at 10:30. Two good shootouts today, but the Rams at home tonight. A little earlier start tonight than what normally is going on.
Well, it's a 5 o'clock JV start at Shagnon, but you take a look at the shootouts going on today. You look at the marquee matchups, and you think Harrisburg, KZ Westfield, of course, at the Rich Herrin Classic. The Benton girls and KZ Westfield girls should be an intriguing one as well down there. They'll cap it off at night with Benton Fairfield. But today at the Sports Booster shootout in Nashville, you have that Nashville-Gallatin County matchup to see just how tough Gallatin County is. And then you have McClure and Waterloo. That should be a dandy as well. But one that should be a dandy tonight is a rematch of the 2008 sectional semifinal between the Mount Vernon Rams and the Jersey Panthers. And, of course, we are joined now by Mount Vernon Rams head coach Scott Gamber. Scott, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
You know what, doing pretty good. I imagine you're doing well as your team gets a big win at home over Althoff last night by 7, 56-49. Team looked good last night in spurts, but what's most important is at the end of the fourth quarter, they won.
Yeah, definitely. We obviously last night we're coming in off our worst performance of the year at Centralia, and you didn't really know how we bounced back, and it was nice that it was a home game, but outside of a long stretch there in the early to middle part of the second quarter, and then not making some free throws and giving up a couple easy baskets there in the fourth quarter. I thought we played really well. We still, though, we kind of said at halftime we were lucky because we went a long stretch there in the second quarter without doing anything offensively. Luckily, Althoff did not hit a ton of shots during that period. You know, if Althoff gets hot there, we're in big trouble. So we've got to find ways not to have those stretches of scoring droughts. And I think the main thing is just when we're struggling a little bit, I think we have to really be patient, get back in the flow, and then attack. I think we try to attack too quickly when things don't go well.
Speaking of sports and injuries, they're synonymous with each other. You lose Jaron Lydell on Thursday to a shoulder injury. Shakari Hawkins comes in. Not a lot of time for anybody to think about what may or may not go on. I thought your team played very well, and I thought Shake came in and did a great job last night starting and getting double-digit points.
Yeah, I thought Shakari gave us huge minutes last night. Thought he did a really good job on the points of our 1-3-1. Thought he did a nice job getting some rebounds and scoring when we needed it badly. And you know, I thought we had several guys really step up their game and played pretty well last night. We're not shooting the ball particularly well from the perimeter, but I thought we did a better job last night, and when we weren't, not settling for those and trying to get to the rim more.
You come into that game last night, Althoff gets off to a quick start, 3 shots made in a row, jump out 7-4, but did you really feel like you were out of the game at that point? Because it seemed to me that even though Althoff started off the game so hot, they weren't going to keep it up, and yet you were still within 2 or 3 points at the time?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was good that when they got off to that good start that we scored on 2 of those early possessions. But the thing on the bench that we're kind of looking at is the guys that we wanted shooting perimeter shots for them were the ones that were shooting, and they just went in. And we knew that there's no way those same guys could consistently make enough shots to beat us. But when you're us and when you're going 1-3-1, which is defense you haven't played a lot, and they hit 3 shots in 3 possessions, it does make you kind of think, I don't know if we made the right decision or not. But luckily, they didn't keep that up, and they went on a long scoring drought there in the first quarter after they started out so high. I don't think they scored another field goal that quarter. So it was nice to. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Well, and you take a look at this Althoff team, Scott, and usually known for great decision making. Last night, down 3 and not necessarily needing a 3 with about a minute to go, they would come down and jack a shot from the corner or from the sideline, and it seemed like those rush shots late in the game really kind of hurt them, and it certainly helped us as we were able to turn those into free throws.
It did. That was really big that they shot a couple of those early. I don't know if it was Renner being frustrated with our 1-3-1 or what, but he, to me, did not seem as aggressive and as he was when I've seen him on film and when we played them at Althoff. I really felt like he was kind of out of his game last night. And the freshman Young had a really nice game for them, but that was big. I thought the one thing on 1-3-1 that, yes, it gave up some perimeter shots, but it kept Renner out of the lane. It kept Vernon from killing us, and it made them beat us from the perimeter, which I don't think is their strength.
Well, and you have a strong team coming in tonight. Not much time to celebrate the Althoff victory in conference play, but you have Jersey coming in tonight, 5 o'clock JV start, a team that has played better basketball since the start of the year. They started 0-4, but then they went on to win the Dester Thomas Hoops Classic in Pinckneyville. They play in their own midwinter tournament, which is a tough one, Cahokia, Alton, and the like. They come in on a roll, and luckily they're at Chagnon Gymnasium tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Jerseyville's a much improved team. When I saw them early at the Centralia Thanksgiving tournament, I thought, it's a game that if we play well, we should be fine. And then as I've seen them throughout the rest of the year, they've really gotten a lot better. And like a lot of teams, us included, their lineups changed a lot from the beginning of the year. They're playing a couple younger kids now that did not play any at Centralia, and those younger kids are probably their best players outside of their point guard, and that's where I think they've gotten so much better. At Centralia, I really felt like they only had maybe 1, 2 at the most scoring threats. Now, they've got 4 guys that can hit from the perimeter. They've got a nice big kid that wasn't playing early, so they're a much improved team. And the thing that kind of sticks out to me is in their own tournament, in their midwinter, they beat Collinsville by 14 or 15. They played Cahokia to an 8 or 9 point game. So I mean, they're playing good people and playing well. They got a big win last night against Civic Memorial, which it's nice that they had a conference game that was competitive as well last night, so they didn't get the night off. So we've played well at home, but we can't come in and say, oh, we're at home, so we're going to win tonight. And we've got, I think that's, as coaches, our job today at 11 when we practice is to convince our guys that this team is more than good enough to beat us, and we're going to have to play really good tonight if we want to win.
Do you also mention, maybe you do, maybe you don't, that this is the last time you're going to be on the floor, your last chance to put something on the resume before the pairings, or I should say seedings are voted on this week as well?
Definitely. We talked about that last night, that this is a really important weekend because Marion Carbondale played last night. Marion and Massac County play tonight. We got to play Althoff last night. We've got Jerseyville tonight. I mean, I said going into last night that seeds 1 through 4 in our regional were still wide open. Going into last night, I still thought that we had an outside chance of getting the 1, and I thought we had a chance of getting the 4. And I think probably a little bit with Marion Carbondale last night sorted that out a little bit. But if Marion goes to Massac and wins, I mean, there's still a lot of things up in the air, and the best thing we can do is just we took care of business last night. We've got to take care of business tonight, and then I would hope that if we could win last night and tonight, that we could stay out of that play-in game for sure.
That's one of those deals that Carbondale lost, or Marion lost last night. If they lose by 5 or 10, big deal. People won't look at it. When you get beat like that, that's one of those lasting impressions that will stick in people's minds if coaches do the research to say, hey, that's a Marion team that's not doing what they did back then, so that should help your team out even though you've only beat them once this year.
I hope so. Like I said, really, in the regional this year, 1 through 3 don't really matter. I mean, it's always nice to get a 1, but 1, 2, 3, you're fine. What you don't want is you don't want to have to play a play-in game on a Monday or Tuesday night, and then if you're lucky enough to win, turn around and play the very next night. That's a difficult situation. You never want to play an extra game if you don't have to. So, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at. But, sure, I hope that, obviously we got our butts handed to us last weekend. But outside of that game at Centralia, we've been in every single game we've played. I hope that, carries some weight. And it's going to be really interesting. But, like I said, if we can do what we have to do tonight, I think the other things will fall into place.
Is there a difference, because you were part of that deal where coaches could gather, go somewhere on a night, look at each other, talk about your team, and then vote? Is it a lot different to sit behind your computer and hammer away at some seeds and send them off via email or whatever rather than sitting in front of peers at a meeting site and voting in front of everybody?
I think it's a huge, huge difference. And I know that with travel and how spread out that they got away from that, but I really wish they would go back to that, because it's one thing I can sit behind my computer and granted the other coaches are going to see how I voted, but I can vote however, and you don't have to look the other guy in the eye when you're doing it, and plus you don't get a chance to really talk about your team and talk about like the things that we just did about, hey, we've been in almost every game but one, and we're playing better of late, and this team's not playing as well. So yeah, I think there's a big, big difference in that. And especially, like with the Massac County, I'm sure Coach Hoffman wants to be able to justify why they should be the one or whatever. If, obviously their schedule is not what ours is, but I'm sure he would like a chance to talk about all the reasons he thinks that their record and what they've done deserves a high seed. So it's definitely changed the dynamic of that.
Well, speaking of something dynamic, the Super Bowl is tomorrow, and that brings us to our WMIX Sports Question of the Week. If you could see any Super Bowl halftime show, which band, which group, which artist would you want to see?
I'm a big band person. My favorite band is Bruce Hornsby and the Range.
There you go.
Now they're the Noisemakers, so I guess it'd be Bruce Hornsby and the Noisemakers.
Well, there we go. That's just the way it is.
That's right.
Scotty, big game tonight against Jerseyville. Good luck. We'll see you tonight as the Rams hopefully keep the undefeated streak alive at Shagnon Gym.
All right, well, thank you very much.
That's Scott Gamber, head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams, 56-49 winners last night over Althoff at Shagnon, of course, to keep that undefeated streak alive. That game tonight, 5 o'clock JV start, puts us on the air anytime between 6:15 and 6:45 with 8-minute JV quarters. You never know. Traditionally, but we'll be on the air approximately at that time. Video online tonight at WMIXsports.com. We're also on there today at WMIXsports.com for this Saturday sports show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Jeff Lonnon, the South 7 champion Lady Rams, will join us after the break. Back after these.
Just how big of a Saluki fan are you? People's National Bank is challenging your fanhood. Show your Saluki colors by opening a Southern Illinois University Saluki free checking account exclusively at People's National Bank. It only takes $100 to open. Your first box of Saluki checks is free, and Visa check card, online banking, and bill pay are free also. Stop by People's National Bank today to find out more. People's National Bank, official home of Saluki checking. Member FDIC, non-usage fees may apply.
Hey there, I'm Jennifer, and I love living in Southern Illinois. But whenever I got sick, I used to think the best medical care was far away. I had no clue that some of the most advanced medical care was right here the whole time. Good Samaritan is my new hospital of choice because they combine exceptional response times, first-class facilities, and an outstanding patient experience. Good Samaritan partners with physician specialists and invests in the latest medical technology. They deliver the best care where I need it most. Locally. Now more than ever, they offer local residents like me a convenient alternative to bigger out-of-state hospitals where I'm a number, not a name. This saves me time, money, and keeps my family close, which out-of-state hospitals will never be able to provide. And in 2013, that care will get even better when they open the all-new Regional Health Center. It's that kind of investment that ensures we'll never have to leave home to receive the care we need.
Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. Raising a hospital, raising the bar.
Too expensive to get back into shape? Not anymore. Wren Lake College's new fitness center is only $53 per semester. They've also thought of everything with universal machines, free weights, treadmills with dedicated TV screens, ellipticals, and more. Qualified dance instructors are also available. Or go at your own pace with DVDs that can be used in the exercise room. Best of all, it's open 7 days a week. Check out the Wren Lake College Fitness Center in the Marketplace off Potomac Boulevard in Mount Vernon. Or log on to wrenlakecollege.edu/Fit Center.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski in studio. Avery Barton here as well as we welcome the South 7 Conference champion head coach of the Lady Rams, Jeff Lonnon. Coach, good morning.
How you doing, Chris?
You know, I'm doing great. You have to be doing fantabulous. Your team wins the South 7 Conference title outright on Thursday. You wallop Marion 51-18, but again, most importantly, South 7 Conference champs, you have it all to yourself.
That's right, and that's important. And, you know, we wanted to do that, and when we got beat at Centralia, you know, things got a little tighter in my own mind, and so I was really glad to get that out of the way because I didn't want to go to senior night next week, you know, with a must-win situation to do that and get that accomplishment. So that was a really solid game all around by our kids, and they took care of business, and that made me happy.
Making you happy was this team, I believe. Obviously, you have 7-8 games in. Haley Lockhart goes down. But this team basically became a team. They didn't panic. They didn't fret. They didn't try to do too much. This team kind of gelled as the season came along, didn't it?
It did. It absolutely did. And we had a few rough areas there early when she was out, after she went out trying to adjust and figure out how to play with her not in the lineup. It did kind of change how we played, and it obviously took. I think the biggest thing that probably we've tried to we've struggled to adjust to is without that element in the game, what that she brought was she was so good at handling the ball, and she was basically a four-man who handled it, as well as anybody on the floor and on either team. And we've seen a lot more pressing of our people since she's been out, and a lot more pressure. And that's the one thing I think that we've really had to adjust to. And we've done a pretty good job. I mean, we've done what we had to do to survive, and I'm just very proud of our guards, Courtney and Claire, especially, because I'm telling you, they take heat from any of these teams that are geared to get out and have quick kids that can get after you and press, and they have really been attacked, for lack of a better word, on many nights, and they have done, considering that it's just kind of been up to those two to get the ball up the floor and to get us into offense. They've done a job I'm very proud of, and it's not always been perfect, I know that, but at the same time, there's not a whole lot of kids who could go out and handle the pressure that they have and not have a few turnovers here and there. But at the end of the night, you look up on the scoreboard and we're one win away from 20, and we won the conference championship, so they're certainly doing something right. And I think that big thing right there with those two has been big, because before Haley was such a just kind of an all-purpose kid who could help them, and now she's gone, and I just want to give a lot of credit to those two kids, especially for handling that little problem.
That problem, that injury, goes by the boards. You get this win. You have the toe stub that's in tray, but you get the win. You get it out of the way. So now the question is, with Cahokia coming in next week, do you go full out in that game, play everybody normal? Do you lay off? What do you do? Because everything's played for, the seedings, the pairings, and postseason conference decided. How do you play that on next week when Cahokia comes to town?
Oh, we'll just play it like normal. We have a goal on the line Tuesday night, and our goal, that's our 20th win, and we certainly consider that a very valuable goal, and it's a winnable game for us. And if it's a winnable game, then we're going to put our kids out there just like we always do, and we're going to play them as long as we have to make sure that hopefully we ensure we get that win. And the other thing is that it's not like we got to turn around and play in a regional the next day or the next day after that. I mean, there's a few schools right now, Danny, that due to weather cancellations or whatever, are having to play makeup dates like on a Monday night before the regional. And now if we were in that situation, I'd probably approach this a whole lot different. But the fact that we play Tuesday and then don't play again for a week, that's a non-issue in my mind right now. And I'm looking at it as, a great opportunity to just get out and get better and just walk some more minutes with each other and hopefully put together a win, and then that definitely sends us into the regional with a positive frame of mind coming off a win. You'd rather come off a win and go for a win than you would, maybe sit your people down and then maybe not have as good a performance or whatever, from the younger guys, because they're young, and you just want to maintain your status quo, and the status quo right now is winning basketball games.
Well, and speaking of winning basketball games, is that an important milestone for you in terms of measuring the success of this season? I know you'd rather have postseason trophies to come step by step, but how important is that 20th win?
It's very important. It's very important because 20 is a benchmark that, we all, strive for each and every season. And to me, there's a really big difference between winning 19 and winning 20. I mean, it's just a benchmark that, I think that you look at any basketball coach that coaches, whether it be boys or girls or whatever, and if you won 20, you've done something a little bit extra, and you've kind of separated yourself from a whole bunch of other people, who have won less games. So 20 is a very important number to us. It was one of our 3 goals that we have when we started, and it's one of the 3 goals that you have every year. Your goal every year should be, that to win your conference, to win 20, and then to win your regional, and then once you win your regional, you want to set a 4th goal, and that's to go as far as you possibly can, get to state tournament. So, that's kind of how I feel about 20 wins. I think it's really important, and I think it's a benchmark that gets a little extra respect and something less than that.
Final question, and I think this is right up your alley. I think this is something that'll be good, and it can be discussed also in other places over the weekend, obviously tomorrow. If you could pick one act, group, performer, whatever, and you want to see him perform at halftime of the Super Bowl, who would it be?
Well, it would not be Beyonce.
Really?
I agree.
Well, I could look at Beyonce for a while.
Well, I'm looking at it from just my musical taste.
Oh, you can watch it on mute.
I mean, that's not really my musical taste. So, and secondly, it would have to be someone who did it for real and didn't lip sync it. And I'm going to assume that she's not going to lip sync this thing tomorrow, after all the heat that she took over the presidential inauguration the other day. So, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she's going to sing it for real. But at the same time, she's not really my musical taste. I'm going to be a guy who's I'm in charge of that committee. I'm going to look probably somewhere in the area of classic country, which is probably the least amount of there's probably the least amount of interest in that out there, so it probably wouldn't be very well received. But I'd pick somebody like Merle Haggard or Hank Williams Jr. or George Jones or somebody like that. And if that got voted down, I'd probably pick somebody from the classical rock ranks. I would say the Rolling Stones number 1, but I think they did it about 3 years ago. So since they've done it, I would probably look somewhere else. The Who would probably be one I'd pick, but I think they did it too. Mm-hmm. So, I would probably then have to turn to something like maybe like an Aerosmith, or maybe like a Journey, or some of those classic. Bring Stephen Perry back, send him out there with Journey. Sing a little, Any Way You Want It, or Faithfully, or all those great classic rock songs that we heard back in the 80s when music was music.
Outstanding.
You got to have some. I'm like you. The Beyonce thing is kind of like, okay. Okay, so you want to come sing. I'm looking more for a band where everybody, every age group, know lyrics, know words, know what song it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to find that anymore, though.
Timeless, Some music is just timeless. I mean, you can throw a Beatles song on right now and you recognize it immediately, You can throw some of those band songs off the 80s and they'll never go away. I'm not sure that in the year 2035 that we're going to be playing some classic Beyonce.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, because to me at the Super Bowl you want something where everybody knows. You got somebody, a guy or gal or group that everybody kind of know. Okay, I know who that. I know a song.
Yes.
We're talking about Beyonce right now. Everybody knows who that is.
Do you know her classic songs?
Well, it depends on what you consider classic. Is there Destiny Child stuff classic?
I'm talking about if anybody walked in a room and they kick something on of hers, most people are going to know.
Oh, I can think of plenty.
You can. I'm not saying you. You're not listening to me.
You mean general public?
Group, yes.
But it reaches their important demos. I understand why they're going with Beyonce. Doesn't mean we have to like it. Just watch it on mute.
I feel like her appearance in Austin Powers will go down as more of a classical appearance than anything that she sang.
Right.
So I thought she was really good in that. What was that, Goldmember?
Yes. Foxy Cleopatra, I believe.
I thought that was a tremendous acting performance, but I just don't know anything that she sang.
It's understandable. We can go over that tomorrow.
And that's my answer.
There we go. Solid logic, Jeff Lonnon. I know you have a media tour to make today. Congratulations on the South 7 Conference Championship, and we'll see you Tuesday night when you guys look for your 20th win against Cahokia.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
That's Jeff Lonnon, head coach of the Mount Vernon Lady Rams, his team against South 7 Conference champs. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Benton Rangers head coach Ron Winemiller. It's the Rich Herrin Classic going on today at, you guessed it, Rich Herrin Gymnasium on the campus of Benton Consolidated High School. That's all to come on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Tomorrow, the San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens meet in Super Bowl 47. Hi, everyone. This is Kevin Harlan. Join me and the rest of our Dial Global Sports crew from the Subway Fresh broadcast booth in New Orleans for all the action. Can Colin Kaepernick continue his terrific play and lead the Niners to the title? Or will Ray Lewis finish out his career with the Ravens Super Bowl win? Tune in to find out. If it's Super Bowl 47, it's right here.
Super Bowl 47 lives on 94.1 FM, WMIX. When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital with our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge. The entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And we welcome you back to Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXsports.com. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
As we await the head coach of the Benton Rangers, the heavily anticipated Ron Winemiller of the Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
Heavily anticipated is Ron Winemiller. We got him? Not got him? Do have him? Yes? No? Maybe? Call me maybe? Ron, you there?
I'm here, Chris.
How you doing, buddy? Doing good?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well then we're good. How you doing?
Doing all right. Big day of basketball here at Benton.
Yeah, it is. You stressed out? You seem tense.
Felt like we let one get off the hook last night, so yeah, a little tense today.
I could definitely understand that.
My wife would agree with that assessment of my demeanor the last month, Chris. So you're on the same page.
We could get some tense out of you tomorrow if you'd show up where everybody else is going to be. Have a little relaxing time.
I know. Hey, he'll be feeling good about life. Has he already been on?
Yeah.
So I don't have a chance.
He came go ahead.
In all seriousness, congratulations to him. That is awesome. I'm so happy for him. He deserves that. He's one of the best, and he busts his tail, and he deserves that. Had the big injury early in the year, and congratulations to him and his team. That's a big deal, and I hope people understand that's a big deal. And I hope they can go ahead and finish it off now and have a great season with a regional championship.
You follow him right now, so he just was on talking and then talking about that very thing. You have a deal today, the Rich Herrin Classic, that's kind of evolved from about 3 games when it first began. Now it's up to 6. You have 5 boys, 1 girls game. Rich Herrin Classic, everybody knows the name, who it's named after. Talk about this big event today at the high school, Benton.
It's a good event, and I feel like our games today are good games. They're very balanced. I don't think as you look at the schedule, you think, well, that won't be a good game. I think as you look at it, and we got Weber and Carrier Mills, which is kind of a late add to the schedule. And then you get in at noon with Johnston City and Mount Carmel. That'll be a good game. Anna and McLeansboro, both they've had their issues this year as far as winning some games, but they both are playing hard. They're both playing pretty good basketball. Anna takes Pinckneyville to the wire last night, and Keith beats Vienna, so that should be a good game. Then you got the one that's probably the marquee game, KZ and Harrisburg at 3, and then the girls game, our girls are playing KZ, and then we finish it off with Fairfield at 6.
As you look through it, you give opportunity 1A schools, Weber and Carrier Mills, a chance. You get Johnston City, Mount Carmel. They don't see each other. Benton and Fairfield see each other back in the day at El Dorado tournament or maybe now in postseason. Opportunities for people to play different people, and I think that's obviously important when you get to this time of year where you got to see somebody different, just kind of shake things up.
Well,
you know me, Danny, and you know that that's something I'm big on. I had no desire to come here and play in our own shootout. We were originally going to play Anna, and then, you know, they went to the Goreville tournament, and we quickly changed that. Just for the simple fact is, just like what you said, you're in February now, playing somebody different, stepping out of the conference. You know, it's been kind of nice for us as a coaching staff to watch somebody new and see some new things and talk about some new personnel instead of, you know, the same guys in our conference. And it is nice for that. And I think guys look forward to something like that this time of the year, and especially when you play somebody that you feel like you have a chance to compete against. And I think everybody in this is, you know, I talked to Coach Hawkins from KZ yesterday, and he's excited about a chance to play the number one team in the state. Because I told him, I said, I hope you're not calling to tell me you're not coming. He laughed. He goes, no, our guys are excited about it. You know, a chance to play Harrisburg, who, to be honest with you, if they didn't play in this shootout, would not have a chance to see them. So I think that's an exciting thing, and I think giving some teams a chance. You know, we kind of take it for granted here. We play in a beautiful facility, and we get to practice in it every day. And you know, I got a call from an AD the other day that they want to play in it next year, and they've already found their opponent, and they just want to basically play a neutral site game, and both teams want to play at Rich Herrin Gym. So that's an exciting thing, and you know, as this shootout continues to expand, you know, I'd like to get Goreville in it. You know, talk to Todd about coming back there, rent it early, and finding somebody for them to play in the central part of the state, like a Pleasant Plains or something, and really kind of, you know, you got big plans for things. You want to just continue to add to it.
Continue to add to it in big things. I'm glad Casey Westfield's coming down, because 2-3 years ago was snow kind of throw everything into the loop. Remember that deal?
Oh, that was a big deal.
And we are going to play the team that we prepared for. That was a good day, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a great day. You know, and to be honest with you, that was a day that if it wouldn't have been, I really feel like it was stressful, but if it would not have been for Shane and I being such good friends, it could have been a miserable day. You know, the easy thing for him to say was to say, nope, we're not playing you. But he agreed to that, and probably was one of the more entertaining, best games that we had all year. You know, and that was a lot of fun. And you know, the thing was, there wasn't the stress of playing them. And sometimes when you play one of your best friends, it's not fun. But you know, it was like, bam, here it is, and now we got to do it. So I think he and I both kind of enjoyed it, and something that, you know, we've never played each other before, and now that he's at Marion, may never again. So I'm glad that we got to do it at least once.
Speaking of your team in that very tough Ohio division, you see Harrisburg. You go into the El Dorado Regional as a 3 seed behind Harrisburg and Johnston City. You open up with Vienna. That, to me, obviously, Harrisburg is getting all the publicity as they deserve. But there's a couple of teams in there that could make a deep run. One of them's yours. You got a nice little draw there where you can make a run to a title game in that regional again.
Well, you know, Johnston City beat us the second game of the year on a foul 30 feet from the basket on a kid shooting a 3, and he steps the line and makes one of the 3 free throws. And as a result of that, you know, they get bumped ahead of us, and they should have. You know, they got a chance to win that side of the Black Diamond, and you know, but we feel like Vienna is a team that we can beat and should beat, and didn't get a chance to play Johnston City in the semifinals. And you know, we told our guys when we found out we were in the regional with Harrisburg, you know, it's not the NBA finals. It's not. We don't have to beat them 4 times. We got to get there, and we got to load up one big punch and take it at them, and see if it strikes, and if it does, you know, maybe kind of shock the world a little bit. But I think our guys believe they can play with Harrisburg. You know, we played them once. We got to play them one more time right before the regional. But you know, Harrisburg's a good team. But the bottom line is, you know, Gus Gillespie had the number 1 ranked team at Robinson a few years ago, and they lost a Mount Humble team that was just kind of ho-humming along and kept believing and kept doing what they could. So that's the key thing when you get to this time of the year.
I'm curious to ask this. I'm asking the coaches now is, does it make a difference? How big of a difference does it make where you can just sit at home, punch on the computer, and send your seedings up rather than going in, facing other coaches and getting to talk about your teams?
I think with our regional, it was so straightforward, in my opinion, that there was not maybe one vary of one seed from the way everybody sees it. But, you know, it's a lot easier to kind of play with the numbers and do some manipulation. You know, if me and you were in a 5-team regional and I know how I'm going to seed it, and I call you and know how you're going to seed it, I can work that to my advantage. And I think I do that. I think you, within reason, you got to, because you got to do what's best for your team. You're always trying to do that, but at the same time, you're not out there kind of jam it to anybody either. You want to be on the up and up, because you're going to be in that boat at some point. You want people to be on the up and up with you. But the main thing with that is I think it does make it much tougher. I think there's a lot more maybe angry phone calls instead of guys getting into some heated arguments at a meeting. But I think that's one thing the IHSA needs to change back. I think you need to go sit in a room and you need to hear about a team, And it's not as big a deal now, but if they always told the idea of going back to the complex. I don't know about Mount Carmel. I don't know about some of those teams unless I have to. So I think that's one thing you got to look at doing if you go back to the complex and putting everybody in the room and having them vote.
When you look at back to the Rich Herrin Classic today, that's a deal there where these teams come in and there's some money that gets donated to each team. That's something that doesn't happen in every shootout.
Yeah, each team that plays in it gets a $500 scholarship and goes to a senior of their choice. They choose it, we don't. So, that's a good thing and helps a kid. We know that college is not getting any cheaper and allows a kid to maybe have a chance to do something with that maybe they couldn't. So that's a good deal, and it's something that, we just got to make sure we pay the bills every year and we can continue to expand this thing.
Do you still give the Big Dave novelty check?
We do give the Big Dave novelty check. We give that. This year we're hoping that Seven will show up to be in the picture as he's fresh off his trip to Indianapolis to see LeBron play. He was like a 4-year-old at Christmas yesterday when I talked to him.
Well, you know what I said, though? I said, with all of you guys in the same car, does that mean the group messaging will finally stop?
Oh, I hope. I hope. And the other part of that is maybe when he gets back to work, I'm hoping that will teach some of that.
Was there any gambling on ballooning of things? How long he's been on the DL? Was there any gambling that's placed?
He's well under the minimum vote, so he's doing good.
Okay,
he's doing good on that.
Because there was some talk when this went on that there might be some bets placed between people about the over/under of, things gained.
Yes, he's well under. The 20 was kind of the benchmark, and he's well under that. I've been proud of it.
Well, that's good, and he got to see LeBron, so now he's happy and running on thin air right now, isn't he?
That's right, and I got to say this before I get off here. We narrowly avoided a serious injury last night, Danny.
What happened?
I don't know if you're aware of this. Well, in the junior varsity game, kid was chasing a loose ball, and they've hobbled my JV coach.
Well, I didn't know that because I texted with him a little bit last night. There was no mention of anybody taking a charge or getting fouled.
I thought when it happened there was a possible ACL tear because he came out and he looked more like Kyle Hobbs than Jason Hobbs when it first happened. Getting around, he had some hobble to him.
He's got that's the thing is hobbling around. That's interesting. You mentioned he looked more like Kyle than Jason. I can imagine that when this happened.
So I want you to make sure and check on him today.
Well, I'll have to text him because I'm guessing from what I could envision that he wasn't in the best sorts of moods the entire rest of the evening at that point.
No. The problem was he wasn't in a good stance. He caught him flat. He caught him lock-kneed, and he couldn't move. And seriously, we could be in surgery right now. We dodged the bullet.
So I need to check him out then and make sure he's doing okay.
That's right. Hey, you guys have a great day.
Hey, wait a minute. You can't leave yet. We got one more question before you go to walk through. Hey, if there's anybody or any band or any group you could see perform at halftime of the Super Bowl, who would it be?
If there's anybody or any band you could see perform at halftime of the Super Bowl, who would it be?
Yes.
Brett Blondie said Motley Crue. We're going to go with that from the coach's office.
From the coach's office, Motley Crue?
Wow, just because somebody really needs to go, apparently. Thanks for taking the time to answer that one, Ron.
Hey, I'm going to go old school on you, and I'm going to go ABBA.
Oh,
really?
Wow. What's Jason Hobbs? Is he getting treatment now since everybody's listening? Is he getting treatment in the training room?
No, he's good. He's been watching film. He's got a cup of coffee. I think he's ready to go.
Oh, okay. All
he's
right.
A tough guy.
Hey, no one else will say ABBA either. I promise.
No, probably not. No.
Oh, man. Ron, best of luck today. Good luck with your shootout, and it's always a great event down there, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, thanks, guys. Good luck to you today, too.
That's Ron Winemiller, head coach of the Benton Rangers, also a broadcast partner of both of us at one time.
Yes.
Yeah, good guy to know, GGTK. We need to take a break. It's almost the top of the hour. We'll come back, get you updated on scores with the WMIXsports.com scoreboard update here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Wade Thomas, Alan Englehardt, Terry Milt still to come. We're back after these.
Welcome back to Personal Banking is more than our tagline at Community First Bank. It's the truth. From our 5 locations in Jefferson County, the debit cards tied to local schools that we offer, the dozens of scholarships we provide to local youth, and even our president who sits at the front door. The Community First Bank difference is apparent. Our mission as Jefferson County's premier community bank is to provide the best customer service around. Stop by one of our 5 locations and experience true personal banking. Community First Bank with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You don't need a super secret receiver frequency to hear this program. Just turn on your radio.
WMIX, Mount Vernon.
The Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois welcomes Dr. Beth Conradi to their medical staff. Dr. Conradi specializes in comprehensive pain management using a multidisciplinary team approach by working with other specialists for optimal diagnosis and treatment of pain. Dr. Conradi will treat most conditions of the spine, including management of cancer pain. Dr. Beth Conradi, helping to make life better day after day at the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois in Mount Vernon. Call 618-242-3778.
Tomorrow, the San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens square off for a chance to take home the Lombardi Trophy. Hi, everybody. This is Boomer Esiason. Join me and the rest of our Dial Global Sports crew from New Orleans for all of the action of Super Bowl 47. Can Colin Kaepernick lead the 49ers to their 6th Super Bowl title? Or will Ray Lewis and the Ravens prevail? If it's Super Bowl 47, it's right here.
Super Bowl 47 lives on 94.1 WMIX.
And we welcome you back to Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Glad to have you with us. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski, Avery Barton also in studio. Brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Oh, our next guest is the head coach of the Johnston City Indians, Wade Thomas. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
How's the world treating Johnston City basketball? It's got to be pretty good after that big win last night.
Well, it was a good win. It was kind of an ugly win. We didn't play our best, but we're very happy that we got to come away with a W.
Got a W in that Eastern Division of the Black Diamond. Your team kind of been the favorite all year, doing some good things. Got to be pleased with what your team has done this year so far, heading in almost basically what is the postseason.
We've really improved, Danny. We still have a lot of room for growth. We're still pretty much, we have one senior, Austin McFerrin, who's really been a great leader for us. But our other guys are really doing a good job of settling into the roles and sharing the basketball. And we're getting a little bit better defensively. And, as well as I do, as the postseason gets here, the scores start to get lower. So it's all about getting stops and having real good quality possessions.
You get a back-to-backer this week, and after that tough game with Carmi last night, you get to play in the Rich Herrin Classic today at noon against Mount Carmel. 1, that's a quick turnaround after a big conference win, and 2, what do you know about Mount Carmel heading in this game today?
Well, Mount Carmel's awfully good. Tyler Buss used to coach. Well, he's from Mount Carmel. Used to coach at Carmine. He's back home at Mount Carmel. And, they're just very athletic. We saw them this summer at Waltonville, and they play in the Big 8 conference over in Indiana. But they're led by Levi Laws, a sophomore. He averages about 23 or 24 games. They've got a 6'6" kid inside by the name of Dial that's a really nice player. And then they've got their second best player probably behind Laws is a kid by the name of Reese Metcalf. He's a 6'4" wing kid that can go inside as well, that left-handed kid that can really shoot it. So they're going to be a load, no question about it today. But, it's kind of, conference, in the heat of the conference season, a non-conference game like this is, we're going to watch a little film this morning and walk through a few of their main sets and go up there and hopefully give a really good effort.
Get a big effort this time of year with a back-to-backer on the weekend. Is that something you like to have this late in the season, or is it okay? Would you rather have an extra kind of day off just to get ready as the postseason comes around the corner?
Well, I think it's always nice to rest the guys as much as you can in the postseason, but playing games, on back-to-back days are back-to-back nights. I mean, you're going to see those types of things in the postseason, potentially on a Thursday, Friday, if you was fortunate enough to make it to a regional final or things like that. You know, kids are 16, 17, you know, they're resilient, they'll come back. And so I don't know how much of a big deal that it is, but, you know, I know from a practice perspective, you know, as we get later in the season, we try to back off our practice times and try to save their legs as much as we can.
Speaking of saving things, you get your last home game last night on February 1st. You're on the road the rest of the way. The Benton shootout today at Vienna, at El Dorado, at Hamilton County. The schedule makers didn't do you many favors this year, did they?
No, you know, that's the way our schedule runs. You know, one year we'll have a lot of games, like you say, 3 or 4 at the end of the year that will all be at home, and unfortunately for us this year, the last few games are on the road, and our schedule's kind of that way throughout the season. We'll play, you know, 2-3 games in a row at home, and then we'll go on the road 2 or 3 times. But, you know, we just got to, you know, play one game at a time, and you know, Tuesday night we go to Vienna, so today, and then that conference game on Tuesday, what we're really trying to focus on.
You join into the postseason. You head to the El Dorado Regional. Obviously, getting put in the same regional with Harrisburg is not a good thing, but when you look at your team as a 2 seed, you have an opportunity to get to that championship game against maybe possibly will be Harrisburg.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's from where our this basketball program has been to where we are now, to be able to you know, receive a 2 seed from the rest of the schools and that's in that regional is that's a good feeling for our basketball program. You know, and to be able to get a bye and, you know, move to a semifinal, and if you can win that, have a chance to play in a regional final. That's for where we are still as a program. That could be a real special thing. And even if you're playing against a team like Harrisburg, it's one thing to play them in the opening round of the regional or to catch them in a semifinal, but to play them, if it could be in a regional final. You know, it'd be a tall task, no question about it, but just get the opportunity to make it to a regional final, that'd be pretty special.
I got to ask this. I know basketball's still got a month plus left or whatever, goes till March, but is there any itch right now for you going yet with that softball and that great facility that the Lady Indians are going to be playing on to get started with softball?
To be honest with you, no. But I will get it. You know, when the state tournament ends and we've put everything away, then I will make that move. Now, as athletic director, you know, we're starting to prepare because, you know, we get into the latter part of February. The practices will all start rolling around, and yeah, we are excited about the softball and the softball facility, and you know, it'll be a neat spring. But right now, you know, we're definitely we're really locked in still to the round ball.
Wade, our WMIX Sports social media question of the week this week, Super Bowl related since it is tomorrow. If you could see any band, artist, group, what have you, perform at the halftime of the Super Bowl, who would it be?
Oh, boy.
Winemiller said ABBA, and he said that nobody else would say that, so I'm hoping that you don't disappoint.
You're right. There's nobody else that would say that. I don't know. I'm going to go old school, I guess. I'd say it'd need to be 2 acts. Let's roll out a little Leonard Skinner and a little CCR.
Nice.
Okay. See, that's what I said. We were talking off air about New Orleans. You would need somebody, depending on the geographic location, possibly, who to bring in. Or, as I've said, you need to bring in someone or some group, or they kick a song out and everybody kind of knows what it is.
Right, yeah. That would be neat.
Right.
There you have it. Wade, know you're a busy man today. You have a big game today. Good luck, and hopefully we can catch up with you soon.
All right. Hey, thanks, guys.
That's Wade Thomas, head coach of the Johnston City Indians, and a remarkable turnaround that he has performed down there at Johnston City. Of course, you knew it was coming whenever he was announced as a boys basketball coach down there, but it is good to see that result. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we will have our WMIXSports.com scoreboard update here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
You'll notice right away that Second Chance Auto doesn't depend on fancy sales gimmicks. Instead, you'll only find honest deals with no credit checks and instant approval. Take your income tax rebate and use it on the great quality used vehicle you really want. cars, trucks, minivans, along with small, mid-size, and full-size SUVs. Most priced under $10,000 with 3-month or 3,000-mile warranty. Family owned for over 32 years, serving the families in our region. Located on Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. Call 244-4582.
The Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Mount Vernon is pleased to announce the opening of TMS Mobility and Rehab. TMS Mobility will focus on standard as well as custom mobility products. TMS Mobility will offer power chairs, scooters, chairlifts, and ramps. TMS employs 2 custom seating specialists with years of experience, Kathy Graham and Jeff Burkett, as well as repair technician Stefan Tamplin. For those people who are in a chair for long periods of time, seating becomes critical in avoiding pressure sores as well as skeletal and muscle complications. Owner Eric Black says, "We're excited to be the only locally owned company in Southern Illinois with the ability to service all your mobility needs regardless of the complexity. TMS is glad to call Mount Vernon home. If you are a loved one or in need of our services, give us a call at area code 618-242-8776. That's 618-242-8776. Or feel free to stop by 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
America is a nation on wheels. Everyone has at least one automobile. We use them for shopping, work, everything we do. But they can be a threat. Some accidents can't be prevented. Your professional Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crownview in Mount Vernon, can help protect you from a large financial loss when an accident happens. Call Page Insurance today at 242-7000 about low-cost auto insurance from Pekin Insurance. Ask them about the many money-saving discounts that are available. Depend on your hometown professionals.
Pekin Insurance.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show. WMIX, WMIXSports.com. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Time to check in with our scores from last night from your WMIXSports.com scoreboard.
Where do I want to go? How about Little Illini? We didn't go there last time. Robinson beat Newton 61-41. Olney beat Oblong 50-39. Casey Westfield beat Edwards County 72-65. Marshall beat Cumberland 64-31. Cahokia Conference to our west. Carlisle beat Westland 66-57. Dupo over Steelville 65-59. New Athens beat Lebanon 61-44. Breeze Central beat Columbia 49-42. Marissa Coulterville beat Valmeyer 62-46. And Freeburg beat Redbud 72-36. South Central, Staunton beat Vandalia 59-50. Greenville over Litchfield 56-49. Pana beat Gillespie 66-56, and Carlinville beat Hillsboro 52-45. Let's go big boy conferences. Southwestern Conference, Collinsville beat O'Fallon. That's a shock, 61-39. Edwardsville beat Belleville West 72-40. East St. Louis beat Belleville East in the over game 90-85. Alton got a big win against Granite City on the road last night, 61-49. Con Conference, T-Town beat St. Anthony 70-34. South Central beat Windsor, tied them in a knot, 48-38. Carroll beat Crab Orchard, 87-43. Thompsonville beat Cobden, 57-44. Chabot beat Oakville, 42-39. It was Paducah over Sandoval, 65-27. Dietrich beat North Clay, 71-51. And all those scores, including those I read earlier, located at WMIXSports.com under the scoreboard tab, all nice and neat for you to look at.
There you have it. That was a look at your scores from the WMIXSports.com scoreboard. Of course, we have South 7, Black Diamond, Midland Trail, River to River, Southwestern Conference, Big 12, CS8, Mississippi Valley non-conference, you name it, we have it, plus a girls score at WMIXSports.com. So glad to have you with us this morning for the Saturday Sports Show. Don't forget, your home for Super Bowl 47 is 94.1 FM, WMIX on the dial tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Is when Super Sunday coverage will begin with the Dow Global Westwood One Radio Network. Of course, Kevin Harlan will have the call of this year's Super Bowl. Should be exciting. Hope that you enjoy that if you, of course, are not in a position to be watching the big game tomorrow. We still have Alan Englehardt and Terry Milt to come here on the Saturday Sports Show. We're going to talk some Pinckneyville Lady Panthers basketball. We'll also talk about the state's financial situations with the school system and how that relates to sports. With the town meetings that Cahokia has been having to discuss their financial or projected and possible financial shortfall over the coming year and some cuts that they may or may not have to make. We'll talk about how that impacts the sports world and what that means to you. A little bit later on, that'll be closer to the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. We'll also have some time to talk 1A and 2A boys basketball postseason pairings, as those came out yesterday. So it should be an interesting rest of the 9 o'clock hour here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
State Farm, this is Jessica.
Hey, Jessica, Jerry Newman. Does State Farm offer more discounts to more drivers?
Yep, like the good driver discount.
So it's for good, but not great drivers.
No, Jerry. There's also the multi-line discount.
For calling from multiple lines while driving.
You should never use a phone while driving.
I only make calls from my car when I'm stuck in a ditch or something.
Are you in a ditch?
Yes, I am.
State Farm offers more discounts to more drivers than any other insurance company. Get to a better state.
One more reason to call State Farm agent Tony Wilton Mount Vernon at 242-1421.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Our next guest is the head coach not only of the Pinckneyville Panthers baseball team, but you may know him right now as the head coach of the Pinckneyville Lady Panthers basketball. Alan Englehardt, his team, of course, will head into the regional at Trico next week, the number 2 seed. Coach, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Pinckneyville Lady Panthers won the Herrin tournament at Christmas, rolling through some things. It's been a good year for Pinckneyville Lady Panthers basketball.
Right, we start off the year a little shaky, and as we've gone along, we've gotten better, and that's what you want to do.
In this kind of conference in the River to River, Mississippi, you got to deal with the likes, obviously, of Nashville, but obviously over the years, a much improved AJ has been there. Sparta's been good; they're not good right now. You deal with a lot of Carterville as well. You deal with a lot of different teams up and down the schedule. It's really not a break for a team in the 2A world like Pinckneyville, is there?
No, the River to River gives you a great challenge. Year in, year out. And the nice thing about it is, in preparing for the postseason, is so many different styles. You see, Nashville's the great sagging man-to-man, and you've got Carterville, who's more of a pressure team, and, Sparta's going to zone you, and AJ's going to give you a 3-2 zone, a little different zone, and so you see a little bit different thing every time out.
You do see a little different things. And speaking of seeing a little different, talk about some of the players you've relied on this season to get to that number 2 seed in the Trico Regional.
Well, Caitlin Mayer has led us in scoring all year. She's been all tournament at Hamilton County and Herrin and West Frankfort, all three, and scores about 12 a game, and scores in a variety of ways. So she's been our leading scorer as far as things go. Evan McDaniel kind of leads us from a defensive standpoint, 5-2 point guard, and gets out and guards, and leads us with assists, and really sets the tempo for the team. And we took a little hit when Haley Simpson got banged up as our primary post kid, but she's back now, and so our rotation's a little solidified.
Well, you talk about that, and I want to ask about this too. You are in a school at Pinckneyville High School. You have several schools feeding, and obviously junior high, 204, Tamaro, and otherwise. How, when spring comes along, graduation happens at junior high, and you roll into your summer stuff, how difficult is it to bring in players from so many different schools to come into a school size of Pinckneyville and play basketball underneath your system?
Well, it's a little different. A lot of our feeders will play some sort of zone, and if you watch us, we don't really play any zone. So that's the biggest challenge of it. From an offensive standpoint, we're pretty simple, and if the kids that come to camp in junior high, they know what's going on. So offensively is not as much of a challenge as defensively, and incorporating some of the man-to-man pressure stuff we like to do. But if the kids are willing to come in and work at it, we use those 25 contact days pretty well during the summer. We fill them up, so that's kind of our teaching time.
Speaking of teaching time, a new facility, a new school at Pinckneyville High School now. Obviously, everybody knows Duster Thomas Gymnasium, a nice I think is one of the nicest auxiliary gyms around, about seats 800. How nice has that been to go in a nice facility and be able to practice in two of those facilities now this year at Pinckneyville High School?
Right. We've always, the past 10 years or so, we've alternated Thomas Gym and the old practice gym. And so this year having the nice side facility, the nicest thing is, you don't have to go late at night. You're going to get your kids in right after school. And both floors are nice to practice on, and you got six rims on each floor. Whereas, last year, a couple of days a week you're practicing over in a facility that only had, 2 rims, and that made it difficult.
Speaking of things difficult, that's got to be bad when you only got 2 rims to shoot at and with a big team. You get into the Trico Regional number 2 seed. I think the thing for Pinckneyville is you stay away from Nashville, you stay away from Breeze Central, an opportunity in this regional for the Lady Panthers, even in your 2 seed. You could come out here with a regional title.
It's a situation where you feel like if you play well, you definitely have a shot to win it. Obviously you can't take anything for granted. Redbud's got a really nice player. The ring girl averages about 20 a game. Trico's got some big kids inside, and they shoot the ball okay from the perimeter. And so, really with those 2 squads, you have to come out and play well. But, we've seen Nashville and Breeze and Oakville and Carlisle and a lot of the top teams in the state that are down here. We put them on our regular season schedule, and so I think now is where you hope that really pays off for you.
Speaking of paying off, Lady Panthers basketball, you've been around there a long time now. What's changed the most from the time you started being a head coach to the time now for girls basketball at the high school level?
Well, I think girls basketball in general, honestly, and I think you see in boys that the kids don't shoot it as well, but the defense is better now, and from that basketball as a whole, and we kind of mirror that here. We're not a great shooting team, but our kids, for the most part, defend the heck out of it, and I think that's been the biggest change for us as a program over the, this is my 8th year as head coach, and the biggest change for us has been that expectation of you're not going to get on the floor if you don't guard.
Right.
And I think that's how you build success. That's how Nashville built success. They've got some kids on the bench who they come in the game late in the game, and man, that kid can shoot it, but they don't guard the way Coach Ari wants them to guard, so they don't get on the floor.
It is amazing how that piece of wood over there on the bench or that chair talks, doesn't it, to players?
What's that? Sorry.
It's amazing how a bench or a chair will talk to players when they're not on the floor because they don't play defense, right?
Exactly. It's that idea of accountability, and when you get 5 kids who can guard, all of a sudden, those 6th and 7th kids realize they've got to guard, and then, when 6 and 7 realize they've got to guard, 8 and 9 also. And so that's how you build depth, too.
Now, I've been told, we always have our final question, our WMIX Sports Social Media Question Week. I've already been told, based on our question, that some of your Lady Panther fans have told me already they expect anything to come out for your answer here on this question. So, without further ado, the question is this. What musical act would you like to see perform at the halftime of the Super Bowl?
The halftime of the Super Bowl? Well, you know what? I think I said this. My answer hasn't changed since when we talked in the spring, last spring. I love the Foo Fighters, and I'd love to see them come out and perform because I think that they do a tremendous job and get the crowd rocking.
See, we were told. See, that's another one that would.
First of all, that is impressive that he remembers the answer he gave in the spring when we had him on to talk baseball. That is absolutely phenomenal that you remember that. But I remember it just because my fiance is a huge Foo Fighters fan and will love anybody that says that. But Coach, obviously, we wish you the best of luck as you head in that Trico Regional. We look forward to talking to you again during baseball season. And I know for a fact, I don't know about D.C., but I'll get to see you on March the 13th when our Mount Vernon Rams come to visit you for baseball.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys having us on. I appreciate, that you guys come out and promote the kids and do what you do.
Well, thank you very much. And, of course, best of luck the rest of the way to the Pinckneyville Lady Panthers. That was Coach Alan Englehardt, of course. Baseball and girls basketball. He does it all.
Yeah. And he does a good job with it, too. Took the baseball team to state tournament a couple times and does a great job with the sports programs, especially the high school girls basketball, does a great job over there as well.
Well, and had some great kids and still has a lot of talent coming up, of course, through. I have no idea what that means. I'm sorry.
I was going to discuss the travesty that just touch on one of our friends at the Saturday Sports Show that we had on last week that was...
I wasn't here. I was sick.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I'm already lost.
You know the news from that part of the world.
Oh, my gosh. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
You know better.
This is where we get on our soapbox and just say that Todd Rushing was relieved of his duties as football coach, and that, in my opinion, was one of the worst things I've ever heard, seen, or done in high school sports in recent memory. It's a shame because Todd Rushing's a great guy both on and off the field. I'm biased. I know that.
Well, and
but again, I don't know what the real reason is. Well, and that's a shame.
We wish Todd the best of luck, obviously, and you know what? And here's the thing, and maybe this is a place for this, maybe it isn't. And sometimes you get in a world of hurt whenever you don't talk about these things. We've seen one friendship dissolved because of a similar situation where their so-called friends did nothing to try to help. And, you know, from what you read, from what you hear, from what comes out, it just does not make sense. And from...
Oh, no.
You've known Todd a hell of a lot longer than I have, obviously, but just from having him on the sports show and interacting with him a time or two, a great man of a great character. And that is a guy... Here's the thing. It's a guy that teaches a science course and coaches football who has an immense amount of value wherever he decides to end up, and can pretty well write his own ticket if there's a science opening anywhere. Whether he decides to be an assistant, a coordinator for somebody, or he decides to go out and become a head coach again, that is a guy that's going to be worth quite a bit in terms of football coaching.
If this was a math equation, there would be a lot of numbers that don't go together with a lot of symbols that don't equal what is out there that's being told verbatim to the public. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I can only hope things get rectified, but we all know in these situations sometimes they don't. When people get on a kick and a run, I got to quit saying right now before I get too far, but it's a shame that Todd Rushing, as of now, will not be the head football coach of Pinckneyville High School.
And maybe some things will change, but we want Todd to know, obviously, that we know what happened, and we hope that things are going to work out, because to deprive a man like that, who, second winningest coach in school history, if I'm not mistaken, if I read that part correctly, but just a heck of a nice guy and a homegrown coach. I mean, Pinckneyville native.
A guy that has done nothing but positive things, both on the school grounds and in the community and anything else, that has not done anything to bring detriment and or embarrassment to that city, town, school, whatever.
And on that note, we need to take a break. This is Saturday Sports Show from WMIX, WMIXSports.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. Back after this.
The huge St. Mary's School annual raffle is almost here. Hi, this is Roy Schmidt on behalf of St. Mary's School. Your chance to win your choice of $25,000 cash, a 2013 Jeep Wrangler, a 2013 Ford C-Max Hybrid, or a 2013 Chevy Camaro Coupe, or a 2013 Harley-Davidson motorcycle is just a raffle ticket away. There are also 13 other cash awards. The big prizes will be raffled off at the St. Mary Parish Center at 8 p.m. on Saturday, March 16th. But if you hurry, you could win early bird prizes every Wednesday at noon until the big event. Yes, every Wednesday at noon, an early bird prize will be raffled off. Get your tickets now at Ford Square, Mount Vernon, Schmidt Chevrolet, Mount Vernon, or the St. Mary's School office. All proceeds benefit St. Mary's School. Don't wait until it's too late. These prizes are too huge to pass up.
Tomorrow, the San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens square off for a chance to take home the Lombardi Trophy. Hi, everybody. This is Boomer Esiason. Join me and the rest of our Dial Global Sports crew from New Orleans for all of the action of Super Bowl 47. Can Colin Kaepernick lead the 49ers to their 6th Super Bowl title? Or will Ray Lewis and the Ravens prevail? If it's Super Bowl 47, it's right here.
Super Bowl 47 lives on 94.1 WMIX.
We welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXSports.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, a longtime administrator, of course, a stop here in Mount Vernon as superintendent before going on to Dupo, but a guy that we trust in terms of talking numbers and getting insight with regard to how the school system and how the educational process works, especially with regard to state funding. He is Terry Milt. Terry, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
You know, doing pretty good, and a lot going on right now, it seems like, with our great state and school funding and or lack thereof. Cahokia's come out. They are having town meetings to discuss a potential additional cut in state funding, I guess, for next school year that could possibly impact their sports, their arts, their ag programs, anything like that they may have. What are we dealing with here?
Well, Cahokia has publicly set 4 meetings. They have held 2. I went to the first one because they're my neighboring district, and we get quite a few Cahokia people trying to move into Dupo from time to time. And they have really put out a pretty bleak picture about what could be happening at Cahokia schools next year should the state continue not to pay their bills to the school districts, and on top of that, what could happen with the general state aid if they continue to lower that.
And this money, this is all kind of a process because for me being in the school system, administration has to be told they're coming back by a certain time. Staff have to be told they got to come back at a certain time. But by the time you go through all that, then the state money doesn't come till the end of the fiscal year or wherever they want to give it, if they want to give it. This is all a process that Cahokia is playing in this equation to try to figure out what they need to do next year.
That's right, Danny. We have to let teachers know 45 days before the end of school, and that's calendar days, for their status for next year. 45 days for most of us is sometime in the middle of April. We all know the General Assembly more than likely will not act till the middle of May to the end of May. So many, many districts are going to take the approach, I'm sure, of getting rid of teachers, getting rid of different programs, considering different things based on what is either being told or a guesstimation.
In a case like a school, and it could be Cahokia or anybody, when you start throwing around, and I look at it from the school system, if you're going to cut something that you're $3 million in debt and you're going to cut something that takes off $5,000, that's a drop in the hat. But it seems to me they're talking about all extracurriculars, not only sports, art, music, shop, ag, whatever, closing down schools, cutting staff. Seems to me that is Cahokia pretty serious about what's going on and what they're going to have to do at this point, or is it just rhetoric?
Well, at the meeting, they said that they needed to cut $3 million out of their budget to keep the doors open. I did not see their budget. I have not looked at their budget, so it's really hard to know. But I've got to believe Art because it's not something that you just go out there and start throwing out unless there's truth to it. They talked that they could get $1 million if they cut all extracurriculars, all art, all music, all PE, things such as that. They could get another $1 million if on different things such as common planning time, shutting down a couple schools that they have there. And they were still going to be $500,000 shy, that they were going to have to come up with other cuts to maintain that. Yeah, I believe they're serious. He talked about the fact that they have very limited, if any, borrowing power. They've exhausted that. They have a tax rate that's right at $11. I think they're serious.
As far as the sports ramifications, let's say this goes through, and you as an administrator, you get together, and I'm not saying Dupo, I'm saying Cahokia, and you say, okay, guys, this is what's happened. We've had to cut schools, cut staff, cut extracurriculars. From the sports perspective, the view of the world, everybody's, oh my gosh, Cahokia wouldn't play next year. What does that do for the South 7 Conference and athletics and sports in general when Cahokia, if and when Cahokia says we're not playing next year?
Well, it would be my belief that I think you have to have 6 schools to have an automatic berth into the football playoffs. If they didn't play football, that would drop them to 5, so that could cost an automatic berth. Obviously, it's going to leave a lot of holes in people's schedules. because they play full sports from freshman to varsity to JV at all levels. So there'd be a lot of holes in people's schedules, and whether they could fill them or not, that would be a question. And if you had to fill them, how far would you have to travel to fill them? I mean, look at some of the football games Mount Vernon's had to travel to in the past to get a game.
And taking a look at, and I know if you cut everything across the board, that's when you start to save money. But we've heard schools talk about in the past, and something would happen at the 11th hour that they would not have to cut their sports programs. But does cutting sports really save a tremendous amount of money?
Well, they're saying it saves them $1 million if you look at their extracurriculars. At Dupo, if I had to cut sports, I'm probably saving about $225,000 is what I'm saving when I look at travel, expenses, salaries, and then you've got to weigh that as to the value of that for your students.
And if that's what I bring up is when you start and cutting $1 million, basically you have to look at buildings, staff, and I think one thing that people forget is transportation costs. Because buses that go, Cahokia in their conference is going to travel a lot. That transportation cost goes way through the roof for a school like Cahokia in sports.
Well, transportation cost is getting all of us, whether it's sports or regular. I went back on my Frizz inquiry this morning just to get an update. We were vouchered transportation dollars, special ed dollars, driver's ed dollars, and state lunch dollars on September 24th from Springfield. I got my first fiscal payment in this school year, January 17th. So there's, roughly 5 months from the time it was vouchered to when we get it. So they're running 2 full payments behind. I mean, we were told the other day in a meeting that they owe the schools $1 billion. And I cannot even fathom what $1 billion is.
Probably it's in your back pocket, isn't it?
I only could wish.
Hey, speaking of that, you mentioned your neighboring district with Cahokia being at Dupo. What would be the rule, for instance, if Cahokia does cut out sports and they go to what has been alleged a 4-day work week and everything else, and sports are cut? How would the IHSA deal with kids who may not be able to move out of Cahokia and go to another school, but would live in Cahokia and want to go somewhere else? Because athletics is maybe their ticket to a college education, but they're going to have to go somewhere else. Do you think the IHSA would keep the hardline rules or make an exemption for students in the Cahokia district?
Danny, I've been around the IHSA for quite a while.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I would not even want to guess what they would do. I mean, I'm sure they've dealt with this before. I mean, maybe in Chicago or things like that. But we've not really shut down a lot of schools in Illinois. I think it would be a huge problem because, just as you're saying, there would be a lot of athletes, not only at the high school level, but this goes down into the grade school levels and things such as that. There would be a lot of athletes that would not have any opportunity. So would the Junior High Association have to get involved in this, or would the IESA have to get involved in this?
That's a question I would wonder because, I mean, obviously Cahokia, you've got some basketball players, obviously on the boys' side, and girls as well, athletes that would help a lot of schools over there in that area if they were allowed to kind of just free reign and go wherever they want in this case.
Well, they probably would make me a pretty good conference basketball team, football team, baseball team. There's no doubt about that.
Well, and just think about the track perspective. If maybe somewhere to end up at East St. Louis, could you imagine?
Well, I mean, the sad part about this is, and we've all said this, is that we're holding kids and we're holding them hostage to try and balance a budget. And none of the schools made this problem, but yet we're reaping the benefits of what's happened in Springfield.
This is a case where, when this state money goes through, because, like you mentioned, all the staff got to be told, administration's got to be told, and this, that, and another, this money may or may not come around from the state, could it?
Oh, it's very possible. I mean, it's possible that you're going to take actions at your April board meeting, and we may not see money at all till into the next school year. I mean, this year alone, we didn't get our final 2 payments from last school year until this school year. So yeah, it's very possible. I mean, and when I talk to my representatives in my area, they all say the same thing, that it's all contingent upon the pension plan, and can they get anything resolved in the pension plan.
When you look at Cahokia, and this is going to be an issue, I think, as we go along to another section of the subject, Cahokia's struggling, got to cut things, got to do this. And the state as a whole, are you starting to believe that maybe we're going to start seeing a one of two choice? Either A, you can start going out and consolidating with schools to start cutting things back, or the state's going to come in and do it for you, and then you may not like what the state does.
Well, this is only one person's perspective,
right?
But they tried to force consolidation, a couple of years ago, and it met with a lot of resistance. If you don't have money, you can't open your doors,
right?
And I really would hate to think that that's their game plan. I do not think it's the game plan of any of our representatives or senators in our area, because they all fight hard for our schools. But there's no money.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10's going to happen, 1 it won't happen. Is Cahokia playing sports next year, in your opinion?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I know that they're in dire straits. But I think the thing you've talked to about more than one time is the timing of all this. We're going to tell people in April or not. You've got commitments, you've got things purchased, you've got plans made. One of the items that was addressed at the town meeting was how many people in Cahokia are going to pack up and leave, and what's that going to cost your school district in general state aid money.
Mm-hmm.
Because as well as I do, as a parent, we're going to provide the best we can for our children.
Very true, and of course, very insightful stuff coming from Terry Milt, superintendent at Dupo High School. One final question. It's an off-topic question, the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. And this week we ask, with the Super Bowl tomorrow, which band, solo act, musical group, what have you, would you like to see in the Super Bowl halftime show? Styx.
Oh.
Nice. Did not see that coming.
Did not see that coming, did you?
No.
You got to remember, a different generation here.
Well, it's not that far removed.
No.
Well, maybe not for Danny.
I saw the Rams got a big win last night.
They did.
It's good. It's good.
Will we see you tomorrow?
Will you see me tomorrow? Yes, I believe you will see me tomorrow.
I will. Unfortunately, I'll have to reserve believing it until I see it. But I hope that happens.
I understand. But yeah, that is the game plan right now to make the trip down to the King City.
Very nice. Mr. Milt, always a pleasure. Thank you for the insight today, and we look forward to catching up with you again soon, hopefully tomorrow.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
That's Terry Milt, superintendent, of course, at Dupo High School. You remember him from here. Did some time. Sounds like prison.
Did some time.
That's how I always describe my tenure at Southern Illinois University. But he served, I guess would be a better. Well, no, that still doesn't sound good.
No.
Anyway, he's been an administrator at Pinckneyville, Fairfield.
George
Fisher.
Ryan called and said, no, don't use those two.
Well, Terry Milt, another broadcast partner of mine, of course, seemed to have worked with a lot of people. Anyhow, it was good to have him on, get some insight on the situation arising in our state with the lack of funding. We need to take a break on the Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, that's what healthcare should be.
We will come back, give you our answer to our social media question of the week, and invite you to do the same. Back after these.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Have you ever been traveling out of town and realized you needed cash? Using another bank's ATM can cost you a few extra dollars in fees to get the cash you need. Not anymore. People's National Bank introduces MoneyPass. MoneyPass allows you to use over 23,000 additional ATMs in the United States without any fees. Stop by People's National Bank. Visit peoplesnationalbank.com or moneypass.com to find out more information.
People's National Bank, serving Southern Illinois since 1909. Member FDIC.
And welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show. Presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
WMIX Sports social media question of the week is, which act, band, musical group, violinist, pianist, any of the above would you like to see perform at the Super Bowl halftime show? And, of course, you can participate in the discussion on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports, or on the Twitterverse at WMIX Sports, which brings us to our answers. I already know DC's, but he can say it anyway.
Oh, man. I need somebody that everybody knows the words, or most people have heard of, like,
Ray Manilow?
No.
Neil Diamond?
That would be...
That's why I was trying to go. I
Neil
get too
Diamond
confused.
might.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. He might.
I meant Sweet Caroline on that one. I actually said Barry Manilow.
You can't sing that anymore. Well, you can't Penn State. But anyway, you didn't know that. Boy, you gotta look at.
I look the inevitable.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you can go hot and popular. Janet Jackson got burnt. That burnt that bridge.
That was nice.
But you've got to go with the fact that you got to have somebody. I think obviously we went hip this time, current this year, but then you went old school. While last few years, I thought Paul McCartney was one of the best. Michael Jackson was one of the best. Those were two. Bruce Springsteen was really good. But then, if like current people that you would need to see to kind of jazz the place up, that everybody goes, oh, yeah, I know. Bon Jovi, original lineup, Guns N' Roses, something. Well, they have to be careful with them because you never know what they might be up to.
Don't take the camera.
You'd have, somewhere along that line, wherever, somebody rolls out and they know, hey, yeah, I know them. Obviously, you got to go safe, but, somewhere along that line.
I agree with Alan Englehart with the Foo Fighters.
AC/DC's another one.
But here's one. Paul McCartney obviously still gets a lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
That is a guy where you can actually bring in multiple new acts to kind of back him up, as they've been doing on a lot of award shows, Grammys, what have you, and American Music Awards, things like that, where, say, you could have a Paul McCartney with with some of the Foo Fighters and do a Nirvana song or two or something like that. So, I mean, he that's a versatile option. I know he's done it recently, but that might be one way to look at it, bring in Sir Paul and some hot acts to kind of go with him. I know the Foo Fighters probably don't have the appeal to what would be considered the classic rock generation, but they have a lot of crossover appeal today. Very good at performing covers if they have to, but also a lot of their own good original material. I guess that's who I'd want to see, but if you had to go a career that has transcended generations that doesn't suck, I'd have to say like a Bon Jovi. Because you think of a Madonna who's reinvented herself, but she's awful, in my humble opinion.
Prince was okay.
Prince would be good.
He was
good.
okay when he came
there.
on.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Janet Jackson would be a great choice now.
Stigma.
But we're all because of
Justin
one.
Timberlake would have been
because
good,
of one
but,
nipple. Crazy stuff. And on that note, we probably need to take a break.
Detroit was never the same.
Nope. Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount, too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
Tomorrow, the San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens meet in Super Bowl 47. Hi, everyone. This is Kevin Harlan. Join me and the rest of our Dial Global Sports crew from the Subway Fresh broadcast booth in New Orleans for all the action. Can Colin Kaepernick continue his terrific play and lead the Niners to the title? Or will Ray Lewis finish out his career with the Ravens' Super Bowl win? Tune in to find out. If it's Super Bowl 47, it's right here.
Super Bowl 47 lives on 94.1 FM, WMIX.
And welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Final segment as we talk 1A and 2A boys basketball pairings. They were released by the IHSA just yesterday around the 4 p.m. hours, actually 3:58 because I kept hitting refresh about 3:55.
Didn't everybody?
Oh, yeah.
I've learned just to leave it alone. because it's not going to hurry him.
I had about 15-minute window of free time, so I took it.
Yeah. It got done.
2 regionals in Jefferson County this year in Class 1A. Of course, they will feed different sectionals, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I suppose we could start out west on Route 15 and head to Woodlawn, where surprise, surprise, Woodlawn Cardinals are the number 1 seed in that regional.
Well,
I don't know if anybody saw that coming or not.
Yeah. CORL, Patoka 2-3, South Central's a 4, Oden's a 5, Mulberry Grove 6, Sandoval 7. I mean, say what it is. Woodlawn hosts. Woodlawn has it. Defending state champs, playing at home. I mean, I'm not crowning them yet or having a coronation, but that's going. Woodlawn's got to be a favorite to win that regional.
I would think so. And Chrysler Rock's having a pretty good year. I think 16-6. Out of the Egyptian Illini Conference, and
Patoka's
won their own tournament. Patoka's kind of hot and cold, but seem to be doing good things. Back and forth battles, of course, with Chrysler Rock. So could be anybody's guess in that Woodlawn's regional, but that's if you're being in a fantasy world. More than likely. And you don't want to get too cocky and just say the Woodlawn Cardinals are going to steamroll through their own regional, but
we can say we can make our prediction.
I'm going to say Woodlawn wins that regional.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt.
To remain the only school in 1A that's won every regional.
Right.
I mean, there you have it. They would that regional winner would go to the Altamont sectional. We're also in that sectional. You have the St. Elmo regional, the Diederich regional, and the Edwards County regional. You take a look at St. Elmo, just going up one above, according to the IHSA, how they have it listed on their site. Here's a team that you kind of need to concern yourself with, and that's the Nokomis Redskins, the number 1 seed in the St. Elmo regional. Altamont's the 2. Cowden Herrick the 3. St. Elmo, a sectional semifinalist for the past 2 years, is the number 4 seed. 5 is Beecher City, and 6 is Brownstown. And I've heard a lot about Nokomis, and especially after winning the Litchfield tournament, but I've also then heard about the other teams in the Litchfield tournament. So Nokomis, I think, has a good chance of getting out of the St. Elmo regional. I think Altamont is a 2 seed. Also has a great shot, but you look at the rest of it, there's some distance between 2 and 3.
When you look at this, the thing that Altamont's playing for in this particular regional is the fact that if they can win, they get to come to their home floor. Nokomis was the kryptonite in 08 for Woodlawn, after Woodlawn had that lead in a sectional semi. St. Elmo's been there, Altamont, Nokomis is a 1. Like you said, we hear about Nokomis. We know about Nokomis. That was 5 years ago. It's a different team, as is Woodlawn. Altamont at home would be a toughie because, obviously trying to beat a team on their home floor in the sectional. Woodlawn's done it, but it's really tough. I don't know if St. Elmo's got anything coming that can do whatever. Now, obviously, in order, that would be a sectional title matchup with the Woodlawn Regional and St. Elmo Regional, so that's down the road from there.
Well, it is, and St. Elmo, of course, was the straw that upset the Altamont drink whenever last time Altamont hosted the sectional. St. Elmo surprisingly won the regional to get to that sectional. But you also take a look at Diederich hosting a regional this year. Number 1, Oblong. Oblong, I don't know that they're the Oblong of last year. They had quite a few seniors. I didn't see that game. I was doing the Rams in Centralia while you were at
Oblong lost a bit. They got one good player back, but Olney beating them by 13 last night tells me a lot. I mean, Olney is not your Olney of 2 or 3 years ago.
No,
I mean, Olney's in a rebuilding year. Even though it's Rob Flanagan or whatever, Olney's schedule is a lot tougher than Oblong. That probably showed last night, beating them by 13. That's the thing that gets me is Oblong is the number 1 seed, and they got beat by an Aldi team that's for 3A standards and normal standards not very good. Dietrich has been okay in stretches this year. After that, it's either Oblong or Dietrich, and that's who Woodlawn would get in that first round, that sectional.
You know my thoughts on all of that. We will head to the Edwards County Regional, where Sisney is the number 1 seed, Edwards County the 2. Edwards County, didn't they beat Oblong recently, or they beat somebody?
Yeah.
That was a pretty impressive win.
Yeah, that's
and so you take a look now, and we'll just assume, for the sake of argument, the number 1 seeds play out. No upsets. We're just going to assume seeds play out for right now. That doesn't mean that's how we feel.
Right.
But if you go by the 1, Sisney, Oblong, Nokomis, and Woodlawn. Wow.
Strength of schedules. If you go strength schedules, there's no doubt. Obviously, you got to play the games. Different years. home courts or whatever if that happens chance, but it won't if it goes all one seeds.
There's probably a coach now wishing that we would just shut up about it.
We're not saying anything about they're going to do this, they're going to do that. We're just saying,
what we do.
There's a possibility. But again, when you get that time of year, you got to have everything go your way. You got to have some luck. You got to avoid injuries. You got to avoid sickness. You got to avoid everything. Everything has to go. Any night you could get beat. First time out, second time out. It could end like that. The other thing that you have to remember too is when you get to that time of year, you cannot panic.
No.
And you see a lot of good teams get to that point, the overexuberance, the excitement of being there, and something happens in a game that they're worried about. They're watching the clock. This might be over. We're seniors. We're done. By that point, you're out.
I've seen one team this year limited times, but I've only seen one team that's not panicked at all this year.
Well, and it could happen any time because until you get in that situation, you don't know.
Exactly. On the opposite end of the world is the Hardin County Sectional, which is Gallatin County Regional, Meridian Regional, Waltonville Regional, and ZR Regional. We're going to go Waltonville last, just save the best for last, I suppose, in terms of sucking up to the county. Yes.
Okay.
Looking at Gallatin County, just because it's top on the list, I'm on that.
Gallatin County.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Everybody else,
Good
go
luck.
on.
But for the sake of discussion, to give them their fair shake, Carrier Mills is the 2 seed. Norris, NCOE. I'm not talking about these teams actually winning. I'm just I'm going through and giving people information.
Okay.
NCOE is the 3, and of course Pope County the 4, Grayville the 5, 6 is Hardin County. But yes, Gallatin County.
Gallatin County gets a test date against Nashville at Nashville. That'll be another wake-up call for them like they got against Harrisburg twice already this year.
Meridian Regional is number 1 Meridian, number 2 Egyptian, number 3 Century, who beat Egyptian last night.
Don't count out Century.
4 Cairo, 5 Dongola, 6 Joppa. Obviously, you want to play the prohibitive favorite with the seeds, but there's no reason to think that a Century or Egyptian couldn't up and win that match.
Top 3 can win that. Meridian, Egyptian, Century, all 3.
ZR, you have number 1. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, there we go.
You've said enough. Goreville, thanks.
Goreville's the 1 seed, ZR's the 2. 3 is Thompsonville, 4 is Cobden, 5 is Wolf Lake, 6 is Crab
Shawnee
Orchard.
for all you want at Wolf Lake. What? Some people,
7 is
somebody
Alvarado.
driving or listening online going, Wolf Lake.
Wolf Lake.
Where's that high school at? Must have been a consolidation. No, that's Shawnee.
No, it's Shawnee. The Shawnee
That's
Redskins.
Goreville and everybody else. ZR can maybe run with them at home a little bit, make it close, but Goreville is the favorite there.
Of course, the Waltonville Regional is number 1 Waltonville, number 2 Steelville, number 3 SV, 4 is Christopher, 5 is Weber, and 6 is Wayne City. And
we're going to spend a lot of time there.
I think we're going to be able to.
Yes.
And I know we are. February 20th will play out pretty cool in terms of the showcase. Is we're going to split up, and you're going to go do the Woodlawn game at 6, and I'm going to do the Waltonville game, I believe is what we discussed, at 7:30 immediately following.
How fast a pregame you want? I could probably slide down the road. Probably, we run things up. I could probably wrap it up and run out the house.
Hey, you may have to.
I may have to.
I may
Come
need
sliding
you.
into Waltonville for the last 3 quarters. Hey, how's it going?
But you take a look at that one. Steelville's playing some great basketball right now.
Until last night.
Really? I
had a big toast up last night.
That's right.
Dupo,
I saw that.
Dupo thumped
in overtime.
Here's the thing.
Those are 2 good top
Waltonville
seeds.
bandwagon. Waltonville Sesser's this Tuesday, of course, on the showcase on FM.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to show me a lot about how close it is. Steelville's a team that was building momentum, gaining momentum, got second at Sparta, lost to 3A Waterloo by 7. Then they fell off the wagon last night. Now, I'm not saying that can happen every night. That's the way it's going to be the rest of the way. But, Waltonville's the favorite. But watch out, Steelville. And, of course, if Sesser-Valier gets there on a Friday night, anything possible with rivals like that.
Right. Really, the only other 1A regional I'm concerned with is Valmeyer. That's just at a personal level, not necessarily as far as WMIX Sports. We will focus on all of them. But you look at Valmeyer, you have number 1 Jabot, number 2 Oakville. They battled last night. Jabot, without their leading scorer, was able to get that victory. New Athens the 3.
Yeah.
Lebanon is the 4, Lovejoy is the 5. It's a 7-team regional. 6 is Marissa, 7 is Valmeyer. And I think you have to look at the fact that it's either Jabot or Oakville that comes out of there.
Either or. Wouldn't shock me if Oakville gets them second time. Now that Coach Krause has had a look at him.
Had a look at him and get him the time that matters.
It's not that this doesn't matter. Right.
But, obviously that matters a lot more. But that was a look at your SIU Super Sectional plus the Oakville Sectional, 1 regional in it anyway. That'll feed up to Jacksonville. We will go to 2A quickly. Not a lot of time, 3 minutes left in the program, but you look at the Frankfort sectional and Greenville sectionals. Hamco, it's number 1 Flora, number 2 Mount Carmel, 3 Fairfield, 4 Hamco, 5 Carmi, 6 Lawrenceville. Probably Flora, Mount Carmel, possibly in a regional championship. Fairfield could have a say in that.
But West Frankfort's counting their money right now.
Yeah, they are.
Because you have sectionals of Hardin County and Altamont in 1A, and you have a sectional in 2A in Greenville.
Joe Q. Common basketball fan's going to go to Frankfort.
Joe Q. He's going to end up at Carbondale Regional that week, or he's going to go to West Frankfort.
Right.
Yeah, or Centralia. That's your 3 choices. I mean, that's the 3 choices of basketball to go watch.
El Dorado Regional, you have number 1 Harrisburg.
Yeah,
number 2. Yeah.
Yep.
Hate to do that to our friends who
I hate to do
program.
that, but I mean, until somebody asked me what would it take for Harrisburg to get beat in the postseason, I said I have no clue.
Somebody outside of Southern
Somebody
Illinois.
just goes nuts and hits about 80% of their goes Villanova or Georgetown 85 would be about it.
Yeah. Murphy Regionals, number 1 Trico, number 2 Chester. I really thought Chester was the favorite. I didn't realize Trico was going to jump up and get that number 1 seed, but Trico, Chester, 3 Carterville, 4 Murphy, 5 AJ, 6. It's 5-team regional.
Yeah, Trico's a 1.
Well,
to me, I'm going to go dark horse is Murphy because they once in a while start getting things going. It wouldn't shock me if Murphy came out of this. I just could see Murphy coming running through and steamrolling these teams.
Of course, then at Sparta, you have Nashville as the 1, 2 is Pinckneyville. Where's 3? 3 is Sparta, 4 DuQuoin, 5 Redbud. Depending on what happens in that second game on Wednesday the 20th, you could be looking at Nashville Peeville.
Sparta.
Or Nashville Sparta.
Sparta's laying there, playing pretty good right now. Got another win at DuQuoin last night. Sparta Nashville, Sparta Nashville, Sparta Pinckneyville, Nashville Pinckneyville, Nashville Sparta. All those combinations would be a pretty darn good little matchup.
Of course, then you take a look at the Greenville sectional. The regionals are in Staunton, Hillsboro, Newton, and Central. That's Breeze Central. Carlisle's the number 1 seed at Central, deservedly so. They've ended some streaks this year. One at the BIT for Pinckneyville, and the other one Central, I believe, their home court.
Home court and
streak.
conference.
Yeah.
They broke 3 streaks in the last month.
So no reason to think that Carlisle couldn't win that regional and might be a team that really goes on and does something. But T-Town's at Hillsboro. Robinson, of course, it'll probably be Robinson or Newton at Newton. And where's the other regional that I am forgetting? We have about 30 seconds left in the program, so we're going to end this pretty quickly. Roxana or Staunton, maybe in that Staunton regional, but no reason to think that in that SIU Super in Class 2A, it's not Harrisburg, T-Town, Harrisburg, Robinson, Harrisburg, Carlisle, something along those lines. But that's a quick glance at your 1A and 2A basketball pairings. We'll do the same next week with 3A. Don't forget the social media question of the week awaits you on Twitter and Facebook. You'll catch this archive later at WMIXSports.com. Super Bowl 47 tomorrow at 3 on 94.1 FM. WMIX. This is WMIX Mount Vernon. Time for NBC News.